The people who were sitting in their office were ergonomically set up to avoid any risk of injury. Now, what I want to just point out here is the importance of movement. It's important that we move often, especially those of us who sitting down on a prolonged time. How many of you have an office at home or have a home office? Right. And how many of you would be sitting more than 6, 8 hours a day? Right. So it's extremely important, especially from a biological point of view, that we consistently move often. Now, imagine this. You're sitting at your desk and you're like this. Your head, you've got this head forward posture, shoulders bended forward, folded forward. On average, for the average person, how much do you think your head weighs? 8 kilos. Any other bids? 3 kilos. Between 5 to 10 on average. So imagine sitting down like this on a prolonged position with the head forward posture. Now, if you have cervical issues from a pre-existing car-related injury or whatever that might be, you are exacerbating whatever condition is happening on the cervical joint, on the cervical region. Therefore, it is even more critical to have a proper ergonomically set up workstation. One of the things that I recommend is a stand-up workstation, which is kindly provided by Easy Office Supplies. Has anybody not seen what this looks like, a stand-up workstation? Okay, beautiful, some of you. All right, the way this works is it's such a brilliant tool. The way this works is it divides your sitting and standing throughout the day. So you could be sitting there, but you could also alternate between sit and stand. So you just have to have one of these beautiful tools on your desk and you can adjust it. It has a lever like so. There's also another sliding part here that slides underneath the desk, and that's where you keep your keyboard. Ideally, when we are typing away, here's a quick tip. Elbows close to the body. If we're typing out here and our mouse is out here, what are we loading on? Where is the stress, right? So ideally we want to tip number 1, bring the elbows close to the body, making sure that your arm and your shoulder are aligned to avoid any further exacerbation or potential injury. Soft tissue injury, exacerbation of pre-existing conditions, whatever the case might be. So you can see how amazing this is. I'm sitting, I'm standing, I'm typing away. The other thing we want is a monitor that is sort of above the eye level. So often I've gone around only recently conducting some ergonomic assessments, and the monitor is low, and this is the person typing away like this. No wonder they've got neck and shoulder issues. So how many of you at night of an evening start to do this, right? How many of you start to feel like, right? So I would encourage you to consider where your posture is, especially when you're sitting for a prolonged time. Then when you've had enough, you can simply apply pressure like so, get back into your seat, and off you go away and continue to typing. This is just number 1. And then you've got your monitor. So a monitor is another thing that we look at, making sure that you've got the right height and it's sitting at the right level. The other thing is we've got also the chair. We need to be mindful of the type of chair that you are using. Now then, how many of you have an armrest? Really? Okay. I'm not as an occupational, we're not very big fans of armrests, and the reason being is because we can get really lazy and slack, and our posture can be like this. So imagine on a prolonged time, if you're doing this, what's happening to the lumbar spine? So we get lazy, we get complacent, right? So unless you have that body awareness, you always want to make sure that you have a nice and aligned body. Otherwise, especially if you have any pre-existing lumbar issues, you're going to only exacerbate the condition. So it's important to just be always mindful of where your posture is at any given time. Also, I conducted one at an office only last week, and the gentleman who I assessed was a very tall man. And of course, his seat that he was sitting in was way too small for him. So we got to look at the seat plan. There's a seat plan. Is it in alignment with the height? We got to make sure that the back of the knee is in line with the seat. Ideally, you want to have at least 2 to 3 finger gaps between the knee and the edge of the seat pan. These are just some of the things that what I do when I go to do some ergonomic assessments. The other thing is lumbar support. Does your chair provide any lumbar support? Is it adjusted according to your height? Are your feet 90 degrees or flat on the ground? Or are they off the ground? So if they're off the ground and you need support to be able to reach the table, then Easy Supplies offers footrest.
Footrest.
So then one of the things I would recommend is a footrest that you can use to bring some support so that your lumbar region, so your lower back, is not suppressed or we're creating more support for the lower back. There are so many more I can get into. This is only just some of the things to consider. I don't want to overwhelm you with too much information, but what are some of the key points? Key points are, where are you sitting? Are you alternating between sitting and standing? Where are your shoulders? Where's your back? Are they rolled forward? Where's your head posture? Are you rounded shoulders? Is your neck back? Or are you going to alternate between sitting and standing, which I highly recommend, because why? The body needs to move. If we are sitting for a prolonged time, which most of us are, we need to be able to, on a biological level, stimulate the blood, the oxygen and everything that flows through on a cellular level, keep moving, keep driving, which this offers amazing alternative between the sitting and standing. And of course, you've got your chair, you've got mouse, you've got the monitor, there's so much more, but over to you.
Then also there's a special mouse wrist pad, which is designed for, instead of having a flat, there is actually, you can get a wrist pad, which helps with your thing. So over the time, you will get that arthritis. It's important to invest in yourself. Don't just say, hold on, there's no alternative. There are lots of choices out there. So if you really want us to investigate, we can give you something for you to try. And if it doesn't work, please you give it a go.
Just a quick one. Gold Coast Hospital put in thousands of dollars worth of these to get them doing it. And guess what? The staff are that goddamn lazy, too lazy to stand up and down. What they're doing now, they've got a timer every half hour. Bing, 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 bing. You've got to stand up and move around. Get you up and down.
That's right.
And
you turn the timer off and the machine pops up. It reminds you every 5 minutes you've got to get up and down.
And the other key point is, you should be spending no more than 20 minutes facing your monitor. You've got, if more than 20 minutes, you need to walk away, because it's not only for your eyesight, but just you've got to walk away and just get some fresh air, whatever you need to do, because there's often people sit there for more than 2-3 hours. You may not get the effect straight away. It will down the line in a couple of years. Then we say, oh, and it might be too late by then. So it's important to start investing in your health.
Yeah, 100%. Yes.
How to go double screens
Yeah.
on that?
Yeah. So they need to be at almost like this. So not like this, like this.
How to mount them on that?
So there'll be a slot. I'm sure, yeah. You get it mounted, whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing, want to also mention, there's also available anti-fatigue mat. So if you're standing more than 4 or 5 hours, you can get a special mat, which will designed to take the weight off your thing.
pressure.
So if you're in a retail environment or whatever, it's important to have that special mat. If you're going to stand there, that's also designed for your height and that. So there are lots of tools out there. I'm more than happy to give you some tools and benefits, and give, just ask a question.
I was just going to say, my car's down here on the right.
Sorry?
My car's down here on the right, the silver one. Just put it in that one.
Sounds good.
So if you...
Recently, and I am a business accelerator of one of the coaches, is a chiropractor, and he called me and I mentioned that, and he said, you need to get one of these. And I literally, sorry AJ, didn't get it from you, I got them the closest available, because I just put in a quote, and it's made the world of difference for me. And I definitely need a mat coat, because I find that my knees get aching, so I've actually taken to wearing ergonomic sneakers, so that I've got more cushioning in my knees, and I'm moving up and down all day, depending on what I'm doing. actually have a more positive energy when you're standing interacting on a webinar.
That's right.
You sense that energy, so you have
Exactly.
a better
Yep.
perception.
And I believe that's time, but if you feel like you need any sort of assessments, happy to speak to you, happy to come over and conduct an assessment. But otherwise, and make recommendations, of course, to go and see Easy. But that's all, folks. So thanks very much for your attention.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ajay and Sheb. It is really important. We are on the computer